What up, what up, what up, y'all? It's your girl, Candy J, coming to you with another episode of Candyology. There I am. I can see myself now. I'm cute. Okay, so listen, guys. First of all, do you see a familiar face? Oh, wait, she got different hair, y'all. She got different hair. Miss Nadia Smith sitting next to me. Ma'am, how you doing today? How you doing?
You know,
good.
I'm just glad to be here.
Hello.
I'm tired, but I'm glad to be here. So you know, when you get tired, you start telling all your business. So you're gonna hear it today. The good tea.
Y'all, listen. We was just having this conversation. I went to sleep at 3 o'clock this morning. And then I was up for an event at 9:45, and then I was at that. Shout out to Tamika. I want to say last name is Harris. Oh gosh, you know when you just know people by their first name. But we had a lovely pop-up shop at Vizen. I want to say that's how she says it because her name is Vi. It's an event center off 360 and Beltline Road in DeSoto. I've been there several times. Host great events. We had a great time. One other thing before we even just dive into this conversation, shout out to my new friend Yasma. Her birthday was last night and we had a fabulous girls night in but listen, you know what happens at a bedroom candy party stays at a bedroom candy party. So but so if you can roll that picture, she's already in the house, but I just want people to see her beautiful face for Nadia. Oh, there you go. There you go. Oh my goodness. Yes. If you're not friends with this child on Facebook, she look crazy. And I just want to make sure that you know how to reach her. So how can they reach you on Facebook, Instagram?
So on Facebook it's Nadia Smith, or you can type Nadia Didi Smith. So just my name. And then on Instagram, Pretty Fit Survivor, all one word. You'll see the same picture. You know it's me. So hit me up. I do respond to my DMs, but don't get crazy.
Okay, yeah, for real. Don't get crazy, because you know we friends now. I'ma roll up with. No, I'm kidding. No, I ain't that kidding. So listen, tell them. Okay, so some people have not watched the last show. If you didn't, shame on you. Okay, so we talked about love and breast cancer, but we talked more about the medical side of things last time, and we wanted to dive in a few more things. But tell these people who you are, what you about, girl.
So we'll give you the Nadia recap before Nene comes on set for this show. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about just my journey as a breast cancer survivor, diagnosed at 33 with no family history. We talked about my treatment. So I did have a bilateral mastectomy, radiation treatment. I did not have chemo. Went through all the good stuff of breast cancer reconstruction. On the 3rd, I got my last little pick me up to my girl, so they sitting right. And then we just talked about so tune into that show to hear a lot about the medical discussion that we had and how I chose my providers during their journey. And now we're talking about the life after. So life after BC is what we're talking about.
Not before Christ.
Life after breast cancer. I love the Lord. Just put that out there before we get started. I love the Lord.
He heard your cry, girl. You here. Hey, hallelujah.
So 3 years cancer free. So shout out back here doing back in the streets. You know, doing the thug.
Not in the streets like that.
But not in the streets.
No. So listen, I told y'all last time how we met. We met at Deodoric Self-Care Summit. If you don't know about that, you need to check that out. Shout out to my girl Dia. However, listen. So what really prompted me to ask Nadia to be on my show was this this post, y'all. This post, okay? If you can put that post up on the screen for me, please. It says, "Oh, it's too small, y'all kids." see it. Okay, listen, I'm just gonna read.
You gotta follow me. You gotta
Right.
read it.
I'm gonna go read some of it to you right now. It says, love don't live here anymore. ... I was asked about dating after breast cancer. At first, I tried to dress it up like dudes don't care. Then I had to make it plain. I tried dating and this ish is hard. I was in a relationship during my treatment that didn't last. Although a great and good guy, he didn't have the emotional capacity, nice choice of words, to support me during my most challenging times. I held on, and listen, I'm giving this all the passion in the world. I held on to what I thought would last in fear that no other man would want a late 30s deformed survivor that would struggle to conceive. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there.
You know, it took all I had to hold in my auntie commentary on the side. You know, you hear yourself like you really put that together nice. And auntie was in here like he wasn't talking about nothing. Wasting my time.
Okay.
Okay, now that's who showed up today, so just let you know.
So, I mean, this starts off passionate. Should I finish this before we start our conversation? This starts off real passionate.
You can go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna finish it. It took therapy to separate the failed relationship from breast cancer robbing me of a chance of marriage and family. Let's rewind. I was processing the fact that I had breast cancer, dealing with the physical and emotional changes of treatment, coping in corporate America, and coming home to a coach man to be the support I need.
They showed up.
Nope. I'm not going to be able to do it. I walked away from a ring presented out of a perceived obligation, not love, and chose the uncertainty of future happiness. Fast forward, the ex moved on quickly, giving the next mate all the love and support I deserved, but I tried hard not to let it distract me. Hold on, I copied and paste. Okay, there we go. I prayed, raged, and cried. I'm sorry. A year or so later, love found me in a very content place. Did you watch the last show? I told myself I didn't need a man to make me happy, and that was true, but the life partner assigned to me wouldn't walk away when it felt unworthy, struggled with self-esteem and body image, or all the roles of survival came to disrupt my peace. To be honest, I struggled to accept his love. In my insecurities, I requested a break. I'm still breaking.
That was the after show. We talked about that after the show.
Watch the last show. And he honored my wishes while committing to cover me in prayer. Yeah, I don't have it all figured out in today. And I take it day by day, hoping to one day have my heart's desires. I could go on and on about the fear of infertility and dating without nipples. To wrap it up, we're going to talk about that. For those who wondered, was there love after diagnosis? Yes. Whew, that's enough of my business for now. Pretty Fit Survivor, dating after diagnosis, love and breast cancer, Thriver Chronicles. These were all hashtags, guys. So, ma'am, spill it. What?
So we're going to rewind. Because we kept it real, above the line last time. That was nice, that was cute. So we're gonna go all the way back to this ex that I was with during treatment. Now, let me tell you something. You know, I don't bash people.
Right.
You know, I like to see the good. That's one of my faults. I like to see I live in potential. And sometimes you just gotta say, no, that ain't it.
No, Zaddy, you can't be my Zaddy.
He want my Zaddy. You know, because I was too busy being mama.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. So, relationship. You know, it was good. It was a second go around. You know, so I felt like I needed somebody that I knew before to accept, you know, like what's going on now, you know, the body changes and things like that. But then I realized, like, I'm out here being great, even with all I'm going through, and you can't really handle me being great. So the thing was, I'm asking you for the basics, because everything else, you know, bosses handle, you know, boss lady shows up for all the other stuff. So I'm asking you for the basics, you know, support, consideration, you know, just mutual understanding, patience, you know. So I'm asking you to understand that I'm going through some ish that I ain't never been through before. So just bear with me. So I can't tell. And so let's see. I said I'm going through some ish I ain't never been through before, which means that I can't what? tell you how to help me get through it because I don't know what the hell is going on in my life right now. So we can wrap all that up. We can wrap that year up to I'm tired. I'm tired, and we can say that. So we'll wrap it up. So while we're here, we're talking about sex and love and relationship. That wasn't the problem. And with me, when I know it's a disconnect, is when I don't want you like that. So when I don't have that desire anymore, then the thrill is gone. The blues songs say the thrill is gone away.
So let me back up for a second because we're talking about sex right this moment. Let me back up. When you were diagnosed, or when you were talking about diagnosed, and do I have a slide? I don't know. Did the doctors talk about what your sex life would look like, it possibly look like? Did they dive into that a little bit at least?
I will say that all of my physicians did. So at the time when we talked about it, it was before we decided on my treatment plan. So they give they lay it all out. Like, this treatment may lead to this, this and this. So I decided against chemotherapy, which affects most women's sex life. And there's an article out there that says my vagina is broken. And what she's talking about is the loss of libido and the dryness and sex and intimacy becomes painful to a certain extent. I ain't had those problems because I didn't have chemo. Right. So for me, it was just like before, with the exception of now I don't have, my breasts, I don't have nipples anymore. So that was the difference for me, and me on, internally processing, accepting what my body looks like. But I didn't have the issue, so I didn't have to seek treatment, for vaginal rejuvenation, things like that. I didn't have to seek some of those therapies and treatments that some women have.
So did you do the research on your own, or did they really talk to you about it?
They talked to me about it. So my physician just talked, they talked to me down to family planning. We got into it, and it wasn't my breast surgeon or my oncologist. It was actually my radiation oncologist, because family, your breasts are considered a reproduction organ. So when we went, before we said let's start radiation therapy, we had to talk about all the side effects of radiation therapy. So I went through the whole series of egg harvesting and egg freezing. So a lot of people, and I will say I've talked to several survivors that their physicians never talked about family planning with them. It's the assumption that all you want to do, and I get you do, you want to survive, but then you want to survive and still keep those plans, even though our plans aren't ours. I believe that, but you still want what you thought was your plan, what you thought was your plan. So,
and that's actually kind of where I was going to, because I know on one of the slides the question is that, do they talk about that? And you said there wasn't a lot of talk about it with a lot of other breast cancer people that because,
and for me, I had the question. So you have to say, what does that mean? You tell me something and then take some time to process it. Then you're like, hold on. Now, so what are you saying? So are you saying that I'm doing this as a precautionary measure? Or are you saying I'm doing this because it's a no after? So I need you, you need to break it down. And some people, I'm a research person, by trade, I'm into analytics, so I like to pick things apart. But for some people that are overwhelmed, you don't really think about it. All you're saying is they telling me I need to do this, they telling me I need to do that, and I'm unruly by nature, so you can't tell me nothing. So,
wait, Sagittarius, right? Right.
I'm a love on you, but I ain't gonna listen. So
because I was looking at an article about prostate cancer versus breast cancer, and how you have all of these great doctors talking about, what can you do with your penis after this prostate cancer, and what does your sex life look like? Right. What's the difference in sex talk with breast cancer patients versus sex talk with prostate cancer patients?
And I don't know why it's such a secret with breast cancer. It's why is it something we should kind of sweep under the rug versus when you talk about prostate cancer, we want to know how that joint gonna work. They go straight into it. It's gonna do this. It makes 5 more minutes for it to do this. like, why we not getting a play-by-play? Why, let me know how the razzle-dazzle gonna go down.
Right, that part.
But yeah, they get the whole spill. Like, their consultations is, even when you think about men when they go get the vasectomy, like, they give them the whole, anything when you talk about where they penis, what it's gonna do, and how it's gonna work afterwards, like, they have to be coached. Right. On it, and they're like, they hand rubbed on all of it, but I felt like we don't get the same, treatment. I had awesome physicians, but it was something that if that one physician, didn't bring it up, which that was all a part of his plan. And then how does that conversation start when nobody brings it up, when you're just rushed into, you need to have this treatment, and this treatment. And for me, I'm single, but just imagine for a married couple, and that affects, like, so what's now? We plan on having 3 kids. We only have 1, and now, you're dealing with this situation. So it's more than just, let me get through the treatment, because afterwards was when I started to spiral. When I say, like, emotionally, afterwards is when it starts to hit you, like, what's my normal now? Like, how do I get back into my groove? Or now I survived it, but I canceled all these things in my mind to get through it. So now what does that mean?
Yeah, because it makes me think about, how when someone passes away and you think about, okay, now everybody's trying to get you food and everybody's trying to help you make the funeral arrangements. And then I'm always the friend that thinks about, okay, now it's a month later. What do you need now? And so that makes me think of the same type of, okay, now I got new nipples and 3D attachments now. And I got implants now, right? So, and you didn't have chemo, but for other people that did, what does that look like? What does my groove look like now?
What is my new sexy? Like, what is it? And for me, like, I struggle, I thought I was, the business. So you struggle mentally, like, okay, I don't really have to wear bras now, but does a bralette make me sexy? But I had those people, like, in my life that were like, try this. Okay, that don't work, like, try this. But everybody, like, some people are shy about, like, talk to it. Like, you can go on my social media feed and you'll see some pictures of me, and I may have on a bralette and I'm showing, like, the effects of radiation. But some people are, like, in their own little closet, and they're really afraid to talk to people about it, which ultimately affects their sex, their sex life and their
mental health.
Right, because, like, you can't process it. And we talked about it last show. I had on the cape, like, I went to radiation during lunch, but 2 whole years later, like, I physically look fine. Like, I went into what they call manic, where I was doing everything under the sun to keep my mind busy. So in that, I was an overachiever during that time period. But at some point, it was like time out. Like, time out on the play. Like, and I literally had to deal with everything that was kind of swimming around me. So, do I still want kids? Do I still want a husband? Can I get pregnant?
Wait, was old boy still here at this point?
No. So we'll talk. So let me. Okay, I'll take that back. So I'm thinking about therapy. So when I got the last, the kind of whatever the email was that I said I ignored in the last session, when I received that email, but that was after my closure, I received my own closure. When I received that email, I had just finished. I was just released. I forgot what they call it. It's not released because I wasn't in prison. But I wasn't in prison. But, not this time.
I cannot with you.
I cannot. Because he was like, "Oh, we need to go to her page because she been in prison." I wasn't in prison. So, yeah, this time. But like, I was in a better place. So I wasn't accepting it anymore. Like, like you go through that place, you were in that place where you feel like this is all I could get. Not realize, but now that I survived it, it's like, okay, so I can still have all those things I wanted, and I look back on it, not to say that he was a bad person, but I was settling for less than I wanted or desired, and less than I deserved, because I felt like nobody else would want to start over with me, or nobody else would accept all of the things that have happened, not thinking that all of this made me into a totally different person that may attract the caliber that I wanted, where I won't have to beg for the things that
it's called re-identification.
I wanted. See, look at me. How that therapist talk, girl. You gotta coach me.
Re-identification, because just like after a divorce, I feel like to me, it's all about your image. It's coming a new person all over again.
And that's how I feel like I don't even know her. Like, and when you say new person, that chick tolerated it. So then the new chick, like, it wasn't, I didn't even think like, oh, I shoulda, woulda, coulda, or I missed out, because I wasn't here for it, like, at all. Like, I wasn't here for begging you to do anything, for asking you to do anything. So when you going through something like this, you don't want to have to say, I need you to, I want you to. Of course, you don't read minds, but the effort that you put forth without someone having to initiate it means a lot for someone.
Because even if you don't know how to handle it, okay, you can be honest and transparent. I don't know how to handle this, but I'm looking at articles online. I am talking to somebody saying, okay, how you went through this? How did you handle it?
Or trying, like, literally just trying to do something without being told. Like, I'm telling you, that something is appreciated versus you waiting on me to tell you what to do, because we don't know. Like, as survivors, we are literally trying to get through day by day, moment by moment, and like mentally it's exhausting. So I don't have the capacity to tell, you know, like, to deal with really anything else. Like we say, putting on that cape and getting through work and getting through the day to day, like, it's exhausting. When I made it home at the end of the day, like, that was all I had to give. So any other drama, any other extra, like, I didn't really have time for it.
So let me ask this question. So in starting the new relationship, or even anything, because we don't know what your status is right now, but
gotta update on that.
She's single, okay?
Gotta update on that.
Oh Lord, we'll talk after the show. So listen. So now that you're single, when do you start the conversation about, I'm a breast cancer survivor or thriver, however you want to say it? When do you start the conversation about, I have 3D nipples now? I mean, how does that work?
I guess for me, like, now it's a part of my life. Like, the advocacy is a part of who I am. So it's hard for me to talk about my day-to-day and what I do without it coming up. So usually when we're discussing, like, oh, what you got to do this weekend, or, you know, who you talking to, what you doing, I'm going to say at some point, I'm going to this event, or I promised this survivor that I will call her and kind of talk about, you know, this or that. So that, you know, it naturally comes up in the conversation. And I'm very open on my social media about it. So if you see something, you're like, oh, you know, first thing people do is go look at you on your social media. So it's kind of there.
Lord, these days.
Right. It's there for you to see, and eventually it'll come up. But I go into, like, you know, like, that's a part of me, like, my advocacy. So I immediately kind of talk about that because it takes up some of my time now that I'm more passionate about it. It's, you know, it takes up my time. So you have to be willing to accept, you know, my role. I feel like my obligation as a survivor to advocate, as well as all the good stuff, you know, that you see and that you want. So I bring it up. Now, when we talk about the breast and things like that, I think, you know, like, as time goes by, you know, when we talk about my treatment, because eventually guys are going to say, oh, so, you know, as they start to research, you know, they're going on, so did you have this or did you have that? And then we talk about, you know, like, no, my breasts were removed, I had reconstruction, and that means a lot of different things. But, like, no, I don't have nipples anymore. Like, I don't have milk ducts anymore because they were removed, you know, so the cancer would not spread throughout my lymph nodes and my milk ducts. But, you know, so it's like, it's natural. It's not, I used to have that anxiety about talking to a guy, but now that it's a part of acceptance too, because I had to accept, like, this was a part of my journey. So instead of fighting it, like, why? Like, you know, I was 33, I was fine, you know, my fat mass was the lowest. Like, I was just out there, you know, I said I was living my best life. So you know, you have to slow it down, emphasize the best, okay? So it's a part of me. So I accepted it. So I have like absolutely like no shame. There's no shame attached to it anymore. So either and it's like flat out, either you accept it or you don't. Does it make me crazy? Like, you know, some of the stuff that I have to deal with, I was crazy without it. Like, you know, you get what you get. Right. You know, like she was bad. I was bad. She was crazy before, and now it's just, you know, it's things that we can talk about. I can talk you through the crazy now and why I feel this way, other than just popping off just for no reason.
So do you get stupid questions though? Like, does it feel this? Well, I don't think this is a stupid question, but like, you know how some guys are like, well, does it feel the same? Can I still lick him? Can I still kiss him?
So you get the questions. And then outside the question, let's go there. Don't overcompensate. Let's talk. So they there. I can feel my skin. Like, no, I don't have nipples, but I can, you know, still have sensation in my skin. But don't like go overboard to like, ooh, I just want her to know that they okay with me. So you gonna give them extra attention. It's like, hold on, what's next on the agenda? Hold on, teacher. Like, I'm glad that you have accepted them. What we got?
So what I hear you saying is they biting on them too long, they're looking on them too long, they're touching them, they're pinching them too long, whatever.
I'm like, if that's what you was into before, let's go have that talk. Let's talk about the likes and the, you know, and the dislikes. If that's what you're into, but if you're trying to prove something, I got it. You okay with them.
So like, I'm a breast man, you know.
But 20 minutes later. I'm tired. I got a 10 o'clock bedtime. I got a hard stop. At 10 o'clock. So what this gonna do? So they accept them. Some, you know, you do get the dumb question. Can you feel like, first of all, don't poke on me. No, these still got tags on them. They still new. They still new since October. Like, you know, we just passed that 6 days. So I guess I gotta keep them. But
right,
you know, like, don't, like, just be adult about it. Like, you know, it's something that I dealt with. I still have breasts. You can see that I have 3D nipple tattoos, but I would rather have like the intellectual conversation. And some guys may try to joke it off, like, oh, let me see. And I literally got these texts. Well, let me see them new things. That's what you're not gonna do. That's what you're not gonna do. Cause I don't know who out here. I'm like Megan. I'll send you somebody else's. I'll send you a picture of somebody. Like, I don't. Like,
shut up.
Sorry. The stallion said it in her.
Wait, no, don't do that.
Okay, wait.
So wait, were you into sexting your breast before?
No.
Okay.
No, so that's why I'm like, are we talking to like who? Like, what? Like, either you here for this live show or you missed it.
See, I'm on the old other spectrum. If we intimate like that, yeah, baby. You want a picture? Okay.
And see, but that's when you made it there. I'm not. And see, the thing is, dudes think just because you got breasts that you just go. That's the first. Like, after two texts, like, I'm showing you my breasts. Like, that's So yes, if you there, then okay, we gonna sex it. We gotta keep it spicy. That's what we gonna do. But just because I tell you I'm a breast cancer survivor, don't mean the second text is gonna be me showing you my boobs and what they look like to see if you approve. Because what you're not gonna do is say yay or nay, because somebody want this.
Right. Hello.
Like, so that part. So I made it there. So if you notice the full circle, I went from settling to being like, oh, somebody wants all this.
Right. Hello. But and I think we got to take a break. But, and you can answer this afterwards. What did it take for you to get there, though? There has to be a journey. And for me, I mean more of a self-esteem thing and I gotta love myself type thing. You know? So, but let's take a quick break. And we will be right back on Power Play Radio Network. I don't see myself. There we are. You are back. You are watching Candyology. My name is Candy J. What's your name, girl?
Nadia Smith.
Oh, that's your name, child. Yeah. Okay. So we were kind of talking about finding your new sexy, right? That's what this boils down. This conversation boils down to. So how did you get there? Like what? So I'm a breast cancer survivor. What would be your conversation with me? Like how would you connect with me to tell me how to get your new sexy?
Well, I think like as survivors, we think that something is supposed to change, and it doesn't. Like once you realize, like, okay, I'm a survivor, but I still like what I like. I still, like you're still yourself. Like you feel like you have to accept this, or I gotta accept like some subpar booty just because I'm a survivor. Like no, like I still like what I like.
Subpar booty.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's one of my deisms. One of my deisms. My friend calls them deisms. That's one of my deisms. So you have to realize, like, I still deserve to be satisfied.
Okay.
Period. So if you're not, I got to the point where it's like, why am I in a sexual relationship if I'm not satisfied? So if this is all I have, then you don't have anything to, like I don't have anything to look forward to. But now that you survive, like what you settling for? Like you can still have the same experiences that you had before. So what's the difference? Like you feel like because you're a survivor, there's certain things you can't have anymore. So
I've heard it both ways, because I've heard over sexualization of themselves, and they out here showing everybody, oh, look at my new chest and woo, and fight the power. I mean,
I've seen it. I've seen it all, where you feel like, okay, but that still doesn't, and there's a difference between, right? It's like, right, you're overcompensating. Like you're saying, like, okay, I'm proud of my new body. That's great, but that doesn't have anything to do with your sexuality.
Right.
So you're mixing the two. Like, okay, yes, I don't have an issue with changing clothes in front of someone, but I played sports before, so that was even before breast cancer. So that just doesn't matter to me. So just because I can take off my top in public doesn't mean like I'm strong, like breast cancer survivor, fight the power. Like no, that just means that I'm not modest anymore because I play sport, I play sports.
Girl,
but
dancer life for me.
So it's not like like to confuse, to confuse the two. Like, but there's a sense of intimacy and sexuality when the doors close, when the cameras are gone. How do you feel then? And are you settling in the bedroom because you feel like I'm a survivor and I'll never have those experiences? I'll never be satisfied, or I'll never be pleased again. So not to say I didn't have those issues. I was still pleased, even in the dysfunction of my relationship. We never had the disconnect, and that when we started to have that disconnect, or like when the desire, it wasn't the libido didn't go away. So just don't confuse the two. The mental, so the desire. But if it happened, it happened, and it was gonna be what it was gonna be. But you kind of start to detach yourself from that person, so it became something different. So the experience became something different. Is this a connection for us, or a way for us to communicate, or is this just something that we're doing because we say we're in a relationship and that's what we do?
Right.
So right. The connection still should be there. So I just had to realize, like, I deserve to be pleased as a survivor just the way that I did before. So if you can handle it, if the scars bother you or if this bothers you, then you're not the man for it. And that's kind of what it is. You get to that point where you still own it. Like, you own your sexuality. Like, nobody has to give it to you in pieces. Like, oh, well, I don't really like the scars, so I'll give you this much. I can't really deal with this, so I'll give you this much. It's like, no, you gonna come in with all your tricks. You gonna come in with all your tricks from the gun. What you guys say? What?
So I just want to know, like, even before this, were you a highly sexualized person before? Were you kinky, girl? Were you kinky?
Well, now let's talk about it. Now I had theme music. Yes, y'all know I didn't come over here coming to hot stepper. Like, that was my song in 7th grade. It lets you know how old I am. I'm not as young as I look, okay? But that was my song, right? So I remember this one time, or many, like I said, play this song. When I tell you, like, I'm gonna give you a cue, and I'm gonna come up the steps with this song. Like, I had attire, I had different hair. I went to Harry Hines. I had lime green fishnet.
She said lime green fishnet.
My favorite color. Nike calls it bolts, but lime green is that neon lime green yellow, which is my favorite color. So it was a production. You never know what you was you never know what you was gonna get. It was a production. I mean, like, booths, like, let me tell you something. Sometimes I thought I was like a real stripper. Like, I felt like, where my money? Like, how you just want to stop.
Wait, what was that challenge? Was it the DMX challenge so you could have that, Keisha, Felicia?
Let me tell you, they in the closet. All of them. Tammy, Jenny, all them in Kairos, one called Kyra. They all, you never know what you gonna get. So I was always that person that it was just a part of me. So I wasn't shy, like with my partners by any means. So when I felt like, and that was one of the issues too I had with my ex, that he wasn't totally comfortable. And, so that means, like, we weren't totally, like, we weren't open with each other anymore. It was like this watered down version of what used to go down. But it wasn't that he didn't want to or that I didn't want to. I'm checking see if you comfortable. You checking to see if, if I'm comfortable. So instead of just having the conversation, like, you good? Okay, I'm good. Okay, this is going to go down. Let me go get Keisha.
Okay, so then let me go ask this question. So did you bring sex toys and all of those type of things?
I did. Like, I was never like a sex toy. No, I have before, but I guess I was never like a sex toy person. Like, I fed off your energy. It's like, what you want me to do? Because I'm here. Like, she here now. So some people, they like to bring different components into the bedroom, and I've always liked to say that, like, we ain't got time because I be doing a whole bunch of stuff. By the time you do that, you look up to one of them. Look at that.
So I know you've dated after the person that you were with, because whatever. So has all of these people come out now, after the breast cancer and all of that kind of stuff, or is it just a whole different mindset?
No, they all came. Keisha, Angela. They all come out, and I was like, if I'm into you, then I will say that I've never been with a person where I feel like he gonna say this or he gonna say that, because you can't rock with me if I feel like you gotta go tell, you gotta go tell the crew. So I've never, like, I've always been open. Like, if I'm feeling you, then what you like is what we like together, and we gonna make it happen. So Keisha and all them, Angela, Renee, they all came. They all came back. Let me tell you something. This is how I let you know what the deal is. When my ex, we're not talking about the most recent ex, this is after the dating affair. He said, did you find somewhere to put your hair? My hair needs space in the closet. So that, first of all, they let me know, you want me to put that back on. You want to make sure that hair is safe. And he said, you fine? So I said, all right. So he liked that one. He's going to put that one. Put that one to the side. Put 2 stars, like put 5 stars by that one, because he liked that one.
So, okay. So you know that everybody is not like you. Everybody is not comfortable with their sexuality in that manner. And so bringing it all back to the breast cancer aspect. So in dating someone new, what would you tell someone else to do as far as, if you're not as open as you are, what would you tell them to do? You know,
I would tell don't force yourself to be okay with telling them. You tell them when you're ready, and don't anticipate their response, because you drive yourself crazy thinking like, oh well, what if he says this or what if he says that? No, it's all on your own terms. It's on your terms. You tell them when you're comfortable, when you're ready, and don't anticipate their response, but know that you have the right to either accept or reject their reaction. So you don't give them the power by saying, well, what if he doesn't this or what if he doesn't that? No, you survive this thing, so you can say, okay, that's how you feel. I respect your position, but we good, you know, like, you can move on. Like, you don't have to drag somebody along with you to convince them to be okay with what you're going through. Either they're going to be there, because if they're not okay with it, they won't be totally supported. So there's a lot of things that you need that response will let you know, like, okay, am I there yet? So don't rush it. Don't feel like you're forced to tell somebody from day one, because that creates a sense of false intimacy. So you feel like you and this person are connected because you told them your journey, and really, no, he just straight down the street. Like, you getting to know him just like anybody else. So don't prematurely tell your story, because that means that you may feel like you're connected to this person. So tell them when you feel like you reached that, you know, like you reached that level in your relationship or your friendship or your partnership, whatever you call it. Tell them when you get there. Don't feel like you have to lay it all out on the table, from diagnosis, you know, to every day of treatment in the beginning. Because first of all, it's overwhelming. Dudes don't process stuff the way we do. So you throw them all this stuff, and they may back away, but it may not be because they don't care. It's because they really don't understand everything you just threw at them. So understand, just like you were overwhelmed, it's overwhelming for people to hear your story. So you have to remember that.
So I'm thinking about in the part of getting married and in sickness and health and death do us part, right? So when you're dating somebody, yes, you got to tell them about, you know, what happened with you and that you're a survivor. But when do you have that conversation about, okay, so now we're to this point where, okay, I'm really dating you, I'm really feeling you, and let's talk about, okay, can I go back into that same state of, I might have breast cancer again? You know, when do you have that conversation?
I think that's something that you have when you realize, like, you're committed to each other. Like, regardless of whether it's not about engagement or anything like that. Once you realize, like, okay, I'm willing to do the work with this person, whatever that may be, because every relationship has work. You know, when you say I'm willing to do the work, then now let's talk about. Now we can put it on the table, because we need to figure out how we're going to chop this stuff up so we can work through it. You know, so we're going to lay it all out there. Okay, so we're going to start with this first. You know, we're going to go there. So when you realize, like, I'm committed, so I'm saying that I'm going to stay with you, Ken, and we're going to work through this thing. You put it all out on the table, because at that point, there's a level of trust. There should be a level of trust there. So a lot of times you don't want to tell somebody something because you don't trust what they would do with it. So that level of trust is there. So you should be vulnerable with that, with your partner, and say, like, this is what it is. Like, I may not. So that way, yes, you've committed to them, but they still get to feel like they're making the decisions with you. Because it gets tough. Like, for me, I'll have to have that conversation that, well, first of all, I'm just older and I haven't had any kids, so I'll have to have that conversation. Like, I did have one egg frozen. That's a whole nother episode. You know, I did have this egg, but that's not cheap. You know, like, you don't just say, like, oh, okay, we're going to go grab, like, no. You know, like, that's the planning. So, okay, we try to conceive naturally. And then if not, backup is we're going to use this egg. Then if not, okay, are we going to adopt? So when you get to that point with somebody, like, for a survivor, I'm not saying it needs to happen all in one night. You talk about all these topics, but these are the things that you have to talk about. It's more than just, do you like my family, you know, yes or no. So the things that you think about, like, before breast cancer, like the family's mission and mother-in-laws, you don't care about his mama. You know, I mean, I take that, you know, but that's not one of the most important things when you're dating after breast cancer,
right.
You know.
Because I would feel like the most terrifying thing is, what if this cancer comes back and now I'm going through this process with you, or I have the potential to lose you, you know? And of course you have the potential to lose any mate, any kind of way, walking down the street. But I think it's more at the forefront of your mind when you're dealing with somebody that's already survived.
But before you have that conversation, like for me, I have to make the conscious decision not to live in fear from it. Because I know at 33, you know, no family breast history, like I know all the stats. You know, I asked them to lay out all the stats because I need to know when I was
That
determining.
analytical side.
I need to know like my treatment. Now that ain't gonna work because what you say, 0.5% for 5 years, like no, that's not gonna work. But you know, like so you have to, you know, like you have to kind of. You have to be at that place yourself where you're going to enjoy whatever your journey is. Then you're going to accept that and be in the present, because you, first of all, you will be unhealthy because that's going to manifest itself in your physical wellness, period. And when you worry and you're stressed and it attacks your immune system, and you're already a cancer survivor, so you're doing this to yourself now. You know, so you raising your risk on your own, you know, on your own. So you have to really just make a decision to live. Like literally, you have to make a decision to live. When you go through treatment, they tell you the what ifs, the what ifs, the what ifs. Okay, so now those are behind you. So now you make decisions. Do you want to live with the what ifs, all the scenarios that you were told before you started treatment or when this journey started? Or do you make the conscious decision, like, I'm going to live, and if you're the person that I'm going to live with, these are the decisions that we have to make together.
Would you think it would be beneficial for someone now that if you were at that point, you know, a year into this relationship, and not to say that the cancer is coming back or anything like that, but and they have all of those what ifs, do you think it would be wise, and I just think so, that they go to the doctor with you one day and just be like, okay, can you talk to them about all of these what ifs?
Absolutely. I will say my ex was there when I got my, you know, my 3-some stuff. You know what a man can take and what they, so can they go in the exam room, or can they just be there for the consult and you like, all right, go on to the lobby. You know, that's enough for you, because we're going to have nightmares tonight. You be up all night asking questions. Look at
too much saturation.
Yes. No. So you have to know who, you know your partner, know how much they can take. But I would definitely say, like, you know, you have a whole team, you have a whole gang as a survivor. You know, you have a oncologist, a breast surgeon, a radiation oncologist, you know, a plastic surgeon. So if that person is a part of your life, then bring them to those appointments. Every physician will let them in that, you know, in that room with you, because they can't say, oh, you can have a support, but your support got to be a woman, or your, you know, so they can't tell you that. So you can say, no, this is, that's your support, then your support can be there, you know, can be there with you. So the only way they understand that it's real sometimes is if they go to those doctor visits and they have to wait, and then they see you put on that gown. Like, they see you in your clothes and they see you cute, but they see you put on that gown and they see all this equipment, you know, come out, or you roll into a machine because you're getting, you know, some type of image. So it takes different things for different people to really accept and make it real for them. So yeah, take them there. Let them see what's going on. Let them have their own talk, so they may have questions. You can even walk out of the room, give them a few minutes with your physician, whatever it takes for them to understand. Or you set it up, call your physician and say, okay, well, I know all my doctors like that, so you know, it's like, okay, he's gonna come, like, he's gonna come with me. I need you to talk about this X, Y, and Z. At least tell him these are hot, you know, these are quick hits. So hit these real quick, at least before we leave, so you can continue that conversation later. So don't try to hide it from them, because it's confusing. It's confusing to your partner to say, I struggle with this, but they don't see it.
Right.
You know, so they feel like, okay, to me you're fine, but I know you're struggling with something, and I don't see it, and they just don't have that understanding of what's going on.
It's all about communication, y'all. It's all about. So let me ask this question: what would be the biggest challenge that you think in all of this with? And let's talk about sex. Let's talk about in relationship, and then let's talk about love. Like, what would be your biggest challenge in those 3 categories?
I think with the sex is in the back of your mind, you want a person to see what you were before. You know, like, and you'll always have, especially if it's someone totally new. I think with me meeting a totally new person and the first time me being intimate, you know, you kind of think like, dang, I wonder what he thought if he saw me before. You know, so getting over that mental hurdle. And then, you know, just performing, you know, after that. But you'll always have, it may be during or it may be after. I think I always think like, he would have really thought I was hot before, you know.
So do you ever struggle with like getting on top because they're looking at all of this and that?
I think in a moment, no.
Okay.
No. But you know how you replay, you replay. And then that's the thing, like just replaying, like I wonder what he thought, you know, until you really get like super, super comfortable just thinking, you know, like what he thought. But I mean, I don't think it will stop me from wanting to be intimate at all. And then as far as relationships, we talked about on the last episode, it's about the emotional capacity. So it's different when you've gone through something. You need somebody that has an understanding of struggle in some way or capacity, because it doesn't end when the treatment ends. Like there are still days that I still have to go to follow-up appointments, you know, right. And then that's a trigger for me. That triggers anxiety.
Oh, and triggers are so important, but we don't have time for that. Okay, go ahead.
So you have to get to know me, like and so it's really that communication and getting to know a person, to know that I'm not gonna be myself 2 weeks before this doctor's appointment, because it triggers me when I get reminders or when I get those calls for those doctor's appointments. So I start to spiral just a little bit. So you have to understand me. So that's a part of the relationships, really understanding what survivor means or what thriver means, and that you'll still have those things that your partner struggle.
And it's important in any relationship to know what the person's triggers are. I mean, I mean, you could just say this water bottle might be a trigger because my father used to throw water on me or something. Like, I mean, and that's not what happened, but I'm just saying that could be it. You know, so continue.
Yeah, and then we talked about the sex and the relationship, and then what was it? The love was the last one. So I think for me, because I'm older now, you know, I will say like older as in 37, so 40 is approaching me. I don't think that my clock is ticking. So with love, it's finding a person that understands that I'm okay with the present. So we talked about my ex and some of the struggles that I have with, I'm not in a rush. Like, I don't feel like I have to make up for time anymore. So I'm in a good place. So let's be comfortable with where we are and not, we should be here because we're this age, or we should do this. Like, I'm done. Like, I don't have to check the boxes like, okay, this is good, then we good. You know, and then the goal is for us to support each other. So love is different for me now because it has to be truly unconditional, you know. So there's like, you know, so when you falling in love, it's like, okay, he nice, but he got this, and you know, he has this, but okay, on paper I have this degree, and this degree, but nowhere on that resume does it say I'm a breast cancer survivor. These are my triggers. I gotta deal with October. I got all these scars. Like, that's not the stuff that you check off, you know, like the boxes. So when I'm looking for a partner, like a life partner, I want different things from that person. So sustaining a relationship is more than just having financial, you know, stability. It's more than just, you know, like looking a certain way physically for me. So it's really an emotional connection and making sure that we talked about that person has the spiritual background to cover me on those days where I may not be myself. So you have to understand that I'm going to float through some days, and I need you just to push me along. So love is packaged a little different for me as a survivor versus, you know, post breast cancer. You know, it doesn't have to have a bow on it right now. I just need to make sure what's in the box is what I need.
See, and I think about that line, "till death do us part," changes everything when you're talking about surviving, you know.
Yeah, so when you say I do to me, like you said, I don't live in fear of this disease, you know, coming back, but you understand that you're gonna have to ride with me through this. Like, you see me now, but you know, sickness and health, and you know, my last situation, I don't feel like it was truly sickness and in health. And I have an understanding of what that means, what that really means.
Yes.
Now. So you have to understand, like, you know, you gotta ride. You know, you have to ride with me through this, and at the same time, because I've struggled, I'm willing to do more as a partner than I was willing to do before, because I understand like what I wanted from someone. So, you know, like you know, I'm really more vulnerable and more willing to love, and my love is unconditional at this point. So now my standards are a little bit higher, and I require the same thing that I'm willing to give now. Right. So I say that to all my exes, like, maybe I still had that checklist. So I can't say that you were totally wrong. Like, I have some fault in it because I had that boss hat on. You know, that I feel like you had to check this box, this box, this box. If not, I don't have time. I got 15 minutes slotted out for this. You know,
right?
So it's different for me now. I feel like I'm a little more understanding, and I try a little harder to communicate. You know, like where I am and what I struggle with. Right.
And girl, again, this conversation is so good, but we're out of time. I want to thank you so much for coming by again. As always, you can come by anytime, boo boo, because we can talk about so much other things. But I really appreciate your vulnerability and just being real. And I think that so many people lack that. You know, I'm transparent all day long, and so it's so nice to meet somebody else that is transparent like me, because I don't mind talking about nothing.
Yeah, we were here all night last time, like just literally all night long.
Yes, girl, standing outside talking for like 2 more hours. Hello. But listen, okay, guys, so there should be a slide that has all of my contact information. You can shout out to YouTube right now, because Candyology Radio is blowing up over there. I mean, like, one of my videos got like 2,000 hits right now. What? Yes, girl. Hey, hello, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Candyology CS. You can reach me at any time if you have questions about this show. Please DM me, and I will get with Nadia, and if she can answer it for you, I will forward that on. If I can answer it for you, great. But this has been such an awesome show, and as always, guys, I am wishing you love-filled days and orgasmic nights. Have a great evening.